Comcast has built a broadband network with one simple purpose: to keep customers connected every single day. In the last 10 years, we have invested $30 billion and $15 billion since 2017 alone to keep America's largest gig-speed broadband network fast, secure, and reliable. Because more Americans rely on Comcast to stay connected, we work around the clock to build a better network every single day. Comcast. Better today, even better tomorrow. Learn more at comcast.com/network.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of ALL2REWIND 2. My name is Michael E. Cullen II, and with me, as always, is
Matthew Maniac Haas.
You're a maniac on the floor. Oh, wait, no. Just anyways. So, so today on the show, we're doing our ALL2REWIND, where we look back at a movie that was kind of underrated. Today we have a guest bringing the movie, Chris .R. Notarile. Anyways, he's a filmmaker himself. He makes a lot of fan films. He's a 2005 graduate from the School of Visual Arts, and in New York City. He nearly amassed 20 shorts before he graduated. By 2017, well over 300 now. So wow. In 2017, and he's done many since then. He does his popular horror fan film, The Nightmare Ends on Halloween, is a horror short that brings Freddy, Michael, Jason, Leatherface, and Pinhead together. He does a lot of really cool fan films. He's got his own films, too, that he's done. He has a company called Blinky Productions, which you can check out. We'll link all his stuff in the show notes. But we're talking about Maniac Cop. What were your thoughts on this movie, Matt, that when you watched it?
No, I really loved it. I never watched it before today, actually, and I wasn't really sure what to expect from it. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it a lot. I mean, yeah, there were some plot holes here and there, and the movie did kind of, lose steam with the last half hour or so. But yeah, I was actually really pleasantly surprised by this movie.
Yeah, it's definitely a movie that should be watched right now. I mean, it's timeless, and sadly, in its approach to the look at cops and Blue Lives Matter and all that stuff. It's interesting, a way to look at police officers and overuse of power, which has been tackled in other properties like The Punisher and stuff, which you brought up to my attention before we started recording. Matt, you had something you wanted to say about that?
Oh yeah, kind of like about the Punisher. For example, there's a lot of people who are super Blue Lives Matter. Like, they look up to the Punisher. I mean, you even see it sometimes where you'll see the Blue Lives Matter flag, and it'll actually be over the Punisher's logo, and it's that's total misrepresentation of what the character is about. It's almost willful at a certain point where it's they know that they're misrepresenting him, they just don't care.
Yeah, it's almost to the equivalent of putting I don't know, Martin Luther King's face over a swastika.
Whoa!
I'm just saying. It's about the same thing. Totally the opposite of what you're going for here. Anyways, here's our interview and talk about Maniac Cop with Chris R. Notarile, and hope you enjoy this. Okay, I'd just like to thank Chris for joining us here. So first off, we're gonna just ask you a little bit about yourself. I know you're a filmmaker yourself, and so just tell me a little bit about yourself, like what got you into filmmaking and stuff like that.
Well, I am a filmmaker. I've been making movies now for the last 17 years.
Wow.
Believe that? 17 years. Yeah, come January, my movies will be legal. So they'll be old enough to vote, some of them. But basically, I always wanted to, be a storyteller. I remember when I was a kid, I would be, specifically in like kindergarten, I started drawing at like the age of 5, and I would be drawing Plastic Man or Mr. Fantastic, and I would be moving, like my face would be plastered against the paper, and I'd be moving along with the crayon as I drew the long arm. And it was kind of a way to simulate motion for me. Like I'm telling my story as I'm drawing. So in my head, Plastic Man or Mr. Fantastic are stretching out and reaching for something as I'm moving along and I'm drawing the whole arm. And then of course, I pull back and finish the hand and go back and everything like that. But it kind of came from that, the idea of creating and being able to tell a story and then wanting that story to move, to come to life, is kind of where it all originated. So I guess I wanted to tell stories since I was 5 years old. I didn't know I wanted to tell movies or make movies until I would say, I don't know, it's probably like 16 is when I kind of snapped, it all clicked in for me. Prior to that, I was like, oh, I'll be an artist, like my dad, or I'll go into animation and make animated movies. But then when I was 16, I actually started writing, and I had created characters already, but now I was writing actual stories for those characters and trying my hardest to tell a completed story. Because, a lot of kids, they come up with a character and they come up with an idea, but they never flesh the whole thing out.
Yeah.
16 is kind of when I hit the turning point. I go, okay, I'm going to write a story, beginning, middle, and end. Boom, done. Next story, and rinse and repeat.
Nice. So I've seen a lot of your fan films. They're pretty cool. What drew you to making like fan films as some of your major output that you got going on?
Okay, so it's not as I guess altruistic or noble as you may think. I had seen Batman Dead End in 2003,
yeah,
and I was at Dragon Con, so I'm watching it on the big screen, the costume contest, and the movie comes on, and I'm like, huh. I had heard about it prior to everyone talking about, oh, it's Batman versus Predator, and the alien is in it, and Joker's in it, and I'm like, really? Okay, cool. And I checked it out, and I'm like, not bad. That's a big movie. It's a fan film, and he kind of sort of told Hollywood where to stick it, because that last incarnation of Batman had rubber nipples, So it was nice to see something, and then on top of it, it was getting major press. Kevin Smith had reviewed it, and all these magazines were talking about, this is how Batman's supposed to be done. And I'm like, well, shit, that's how you gotta get known. You gotta get your name out there. And I hadn't started making movies yet, and I was getting into it. I was going to college. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go to college. I'm gonna learn animation, and I'm gonna cross to movies. And I was like, how am I going to do that? And I'm like, oh, that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a fan film of my own. Ha-ha! I will do what Hollywood cannot. And that was where it all started with me. I said, what can Hollywood not do? Because that's, I think, what a fan film should be. It should be what Hollywood can't do, you can. And, having Batman and the Predator literally on screen together is something Hollywood cannot do.
Yeah.
Because especially now with Fox being owned by Disney and the legal dispute over Predator and Batman still with Warner Brothers, that'll never happen. Too many egos, too many lawyers, too much money involved. It's not going to happen. So I said to myself, what can I do that is just like that? And I settled with The Nightmare Ends and Halloween, which was Freddy, Jason, Michael, Leatherface, and Pinhead all in one room. I go, that'll never happen. They'll never be able to pull that one off. And that'll be my idea.
Have you seen the documentary about the Batman Dead End?
Yeah. I actually, I know Sandy personally, and he sent that to me, and I watched it, and he's like, what'd you think? I go, it's a lot longer than the actual movie. But
yeah, a guy I went to college with actually directed that documentary. So, and he and Sandy had a big.
He's very, you know, I'm proud of him. I'm glad that he managed to, excuse me, make a career out of doing what he did. But the documentary itself, was a little like. It felt like it was one of those movies that was produced by somebody else, and someone's like, I want to make a documentary on Sandy Colora. But it was Sandy Colora making a documentary on Sandy Colora.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I know, because my friend Eric, who directed it, he had a falling out with Sandy. I don't know what's going on with them. But yeah, I went to college with Eric. I've known him for like 25 years or so now. So he's a good guy. But yeah, the documentary did seem kind of like a love fest.
It was there's a lot of that going on. Like if I ever produce my own, you know, documentary, you know, just shoot me. Like that's like the one thing. Like Steven Spielberg right now is doing a biopic loosely based on his childhood that he will be directing, and it's like, dude, why? Why are you making a movie about yourself? Like.
Yeah,
a lot of that, I don't condone that.
I mean, there is the whole thing where, you know, you write what you know, but still to the point where it becomes.
Yeah, I know, but it's all. Did you ever see that bit on Family Guy where they did a cutaway and the screenwriter goes, "Well, I just finished my movie script. Now I'm going to direct and star in it. But how bad do I want the role?"
That's funny. Yeah. Let's get into Maniac Cop here, because that's, you know, what we're gonna talk about here. I saw your fan film too of Maniac Cop that you did years ago. I just watched that yesterday.
Two of them.
Yeah, you did two of them. I saw the first one. I didn't see the second one yet, but yeah, I did watch the first one.
Oh man,
yeah,
you got the second one. That was my favorite.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. But I did like the first one.
Go ahead.
I did like the first one. It was pretty cool. Nice little scene. Seems like it could have been right in the movie. What is it that you love about Maniac Cop?
Great question. Well, I met William Lustig, by the way, after I had made those, and he really liked them, so I was very honored about that. What I liked most about Maniac Cop, I believe, came from, I think it was a very high-concept movie. I like the idea of, you know, this abuse of power that comes from Matt Cordell. The badge, the uniform, what a policeman is supposed to represent to the public, you know, to protect and serve.
Yeah.
And then having completely go in the opposite direction and, you know, cause this nightmare effect in New York. And there's that great scene in the movie where the old lady gets pulled over and she goes, "You're not going to get me," and just shoots the face off of an innocent cop who's just trying to help her.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. And I thought that was a really high concept thing to explore, especially in a slasher film. You know, that was, and if we just watched the movie the other night, and it's scarier now when you're watching like those street interviews where those people are talking about the police and how you see a cop, you cross the other side. If you've not been living under a rock the last couple of years, you'll know that police officers can be truly terrifying. So for a movie that is now, 33 years old, to tap into so long ago when we were living under the Reagan administration, where it's always good morning in America, conservative values, respect the police, and you have the Maniac Cop going around. That was truly ahead of its time. So naturally, I was compelled to want to do something with that.
Yeah. I was watching it the other night, and I'm like, this is so needs to be seen right now, because I mean, with all the Black Lives Matter,
I tried
thing.
to I wanted to remake it. Back in, the whole thing started in 2007. I was talking with one of my friends, and we were just talking about stuff to do, and he says, you know what really needs to get remade? And I go, what? He goes, Maniac Cop. I'm like, yes, it does. You know, it needs to get remade, but seriously, not as a schlocky B horror movie. So we both actually sat down and wrote out a remake. Now, I had made a couple of tiny tweaks to the story, which kind of streamlined the whole thing. I had that Matt Cordell, all the innocent victims he was going after, played a part in his trial, whether they were jurors, lawyers, witnesses, whatever. I wanted it that he actually was going after people he viewed as guilty rather than random people on the street. I wanted everything to kind of be tied together. That way, and as you saw in Maniac Cop 2, everybody who set him up was terrified that he was coming for him.
Yeah.
Also, I kind of combined 1 and 2 into one huge movie. So I kept in that police massacre scene from 2 because I love that scene. That scene is so satisfying, and it's like the perfect climax scene in a big movie. So, you know, we wrote like a $50 million budget film and everything, and I got pretty far with it. Like, I had reached out to, I shit you not, I reached out to John Cena way back when, and he was available. I reached out to Larry Cohen. William Lustig was cool. Matt Zadar and I were Robert Zadar and I were friends at the time, and he was down to Godfather the project with me.
Yeah.
But I wanted John Cena to play Matt Cordell.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Yes, he would be a great. Yeah, he would be a great actor for that role.
Now, at the time, this is 2008, 2009. Everybody's like, "Why the fuck do you want John Cena? He was only in that 12 rounds movie." Like, 1, look at the size of him.
Yes.
2, look at the jaw on him. Okay. 3, he's a wrestler. He can handle the physicality of the character. I knew John Cena's potential 13 years ago, 12 years ago. I knew what he was capable of, and now look at him, he's Peacemaker.
I know.
But we really tried with that one. What killed the project was, regretfully, Larry Cohen. He killed it.
Yeah. What did he do? He just didn't want to do it, or?
I had asked him, I said, hey, we're trying to remake Maniac Cop. You're the rights holder. Would you be willing to let us license it from you? That way I can raise funds. What I need you basically is to just sign off that we're going to pay you a lot of money if you let me publicly raise funds for the project, talking to investors and signing talent and whatnot. And he said, no. He said, I want to be paid X amount of money up front and you can own it. And I was like, dude, it ain't worth that much. Yeah. I love you. I love what you did. But it's been, like at the time, 25 years. No, it was 2008. So it literally had been 20 years since the first movie came out. And 18 years since its last sequel came out. Like, it's not worth as much as you're asking for. Lower your price. We could work this out. He says, no, shut the whole thing down. And it just died after that.
That sucks. I was reading that they're developing possibly a TV series right now about it too. I heard something. Have you heard
that
about
TV
that?
series has been in development for years, and it was by Nicholas Winding Refn, and it was supposed to be like set in LA, and that was depressing when that happened because by that point I had been shot down, and now that Larry has passed, I don't know who owns the rights. I don't know how Winding Refn got them, but it's just been out of my hands at this point. So I was like, all right, whatever. And I tried this year to do a new Maniac Cop fan just to put my cap on it, and I figured do a third one, but I wasn't able to raise any funds to buy a new cop costume because I don't have one anymore.
Oh, that sucks. Well, yeah, I mean, it's hopefully if they do end up making the series that it does kind of follow some of the ideas you had, because it would be better to, modernize it and make it.
I feel that it's going to end up like the way they want Todd McFarlane's Spawn to go, where Matt Cordell is essentially a background character in his own thing. I don't think they're going to embrace Jason Voorhees with a badge the way that they should. Like,
yeah.
In my script, I had Cordell shooting up the police station. Then he comes walking out, riddled with bullets, just like smoldering. Gets into a SWAT truck and roars down what was it, the West Side Highway, chasing after the main character as like a SWAT helicopter is flying over, shoots him in the head, and he just looks up. He's like, motherfucker, pulls the gun and blows the helicopter off the sky. Like, it was over the top insanity, I don't think Winding Refn is known for his over the top insanity as he is known for his more think pieces and thought provoking work on a smaller key. I don't think he's the right voice for Maniac Cop, sadly.
All right, what else has he done?
He did A Place Beyond the Pines with Ryan Gosling.
Oh, okay.
I think he also did Drive. Didn't he do Drive?
I think so. I'm trying to remember because it's I know the name. The name's familiar, but I'm just not up on it.
And again, those are really, really great character studies and they're great think pieces, but they're way too realistic. Mm-hmm. Whereas Maniac Cop, you're dealing with a supernatural bad guy, a zombie essentially, and I don't think you can really have the over the top action that it is born from the 80s essentially coming through when you're doing a lot of these toned down films. He'd really have to step out of his comfort zone and do something that's Sam Raimi-esque.
Yeah, basically. Speaking of who had a cameo in the movie, the first movie, I've read that Bruce Campbell thought that Maniac Cop was the worst movie he's ever done, which I just don't understand, because then he came back for the sequel.
I don't think it was the worst, but I know he's not fond of it.
Yeah.
And I do feel I see where he's coming from with that film, and I feel that it's just a byproduct of the time, because it was an 80s film and it wasn't big enough of a budget, and Jack is this passive hero until the very end. He doesn't really do a whole lot. In fact, in my remake script, I wrote Jack out. He's barely in it. He's in it for like maybe a scene in passing. The real hero of that movie was Frank McCrae.
Yeah.
And maintaining focus on Frank McCrae keeps that story alive, as opposed to killing him off and replacing him with Jack. I don't think Jack was a strong character. No. And I know that Bruce probably feels the same way, given how quickly they kill him off in the sequel.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's...
Yeah, I was surprised that they...
Oh, go ahead, Matt. Yeah.
I was just saying that I was surprised that they killed him off like an hour in the movie, because he was clearly, the protagonist, and then they just, threw him out of the building onto the car.
Frank, I thought you were talking about Matt or Bruce for a second. Yeah, no, with McCrae, it was a ballsy move to kill Frank McCrae, but at the same time, I believe they wrote themselves into a corner by losing that, because and Tom Atkins was killing it in that movie. He was surly, he was suave, he was a badass, and he was really doing a good job as a police officer. He was bringing, like, if you're one of those support cops, like, he was a good example of what it means to be a cop. He was thinking, he was caring, and he was determined. And it's those sort of features you look for in a character, and instead you're stuck with Jack Forrest, who was having an affair with his partner, and he doesn't even grieve over the loss of his wife.
Right.
Like, dude, didn't your wife just die, and you're about to make out with Theresa Mallory in a jail cell? Like, nah, dude, no. You're not the hero. You're a jerk.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Adkins did an amazing job in the movie, and it was. I mean, I guess they were going for maybe kind of the whole like Marion Crane and Psycho sort of thing, where you kill off the main character.
I could see where they would go with that, but I feel that was a missed opportunity because Marion didn't quarterback the main plot of the film. Marion was the plot of the film.
Yeah,
Frank is quarterbacking the plot. Who is the Maniac Cop? How can I catch him? I know that Jack is being set up. Only I have the evidence that can prove his innocence type thing. Oh, let's just kill him off. Well, now what? Shit, we have to now go and do it ourselves. Now, I get the stakes are high. Frank is dead, and we have to now think on our feet, and the entire city full of cops at one man, an innocent man. But because of Jack's particular circumstance and the lack of addressing what has happened in his actual life where his wife was killed, whether he was in and out of that marriage or not, doesn't matter. The fact is his spouse is dead. They never addressed that and instead just focused on his romance with Theresa, and that was, I could see how that would leave a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, specifically maybe Bruce's or just the general audience going, the fuck, dude?
Yeah. He's not your typical...
The fuck?
Definitely not your typical hero. I mean... But still, I mean, it was pretty cool though. I mean, the stunts and stuff towards the end where he was hanging on the truck. And
stunts were great. The action was great.
Was awesome.
Cinematography was really good for a low budget movie, and again, it was a very high concept film. I think the only thing that the original movie suffered from, just if you look at it as a piece, not going into story or whatever, I don't think there were enough money shots of Cordell.
No.
Seeing the makeup on his face, I don't think there was enough money shots of that. There was maybe, 2 close-ups in the whole movie. And he didn't really get to be...
I was just saying, I noticed, too, when they had the close-ups and then they cut away to the wide shot, it was kind of like, they didn't really match, either, too, some of the times. Totally.
No, they didn't match at all, and the makeup was almost different in some shots.
Yeah.
I feel that obviously they improved on his look in Maniac Cop 2.
Yeah.
Making him look like an actual zombie and everything. Believe it or not, I prefer the makeup in Maniac Cop 3. I really like just the whole burnt look, having him just be this massive burnt milk dud.
Yeah.
I thought was really really cool looking.
Yeah, I mean it was kind of like what happens after you've been dead for a while. You kind of get to look worse as you go, sort of thing. Yeah. Which is probably true. I don't know. And so it's interesting. I mean, it's interesting that that the character didn't become more popular too. Like the Maniac Cop movies didn't become bigger in certain ways. But I can kind of understand. They were regretfully drowned out by everything else at the time. Everybody was doing a gimmick. Yeah.
You had Freddy with his claw and the dreams and the sweater, and you had Michael on Halloween with a knife, and you had Jason with a hockey mask and a machete or anything else you could fucking grab. And then you had Matt Cordell, who was, a police officer and everything like that. But then you had Psycho Cop, the ripoff movie.
Yeah.
And then you had Rotor. Remember Rotor?
No.
Oh, man. Oh, you are missing out. Rotor is bottom barrel.
I'll have to look that up.
I shit you not, this has to be the pitch. This has to be the pitch for Rotor. It's R-O-T-O-R, Rotor. It's RoboCop, Terminator, and Maniac Cop rolled into one fucking movie. This scientist, I'm gonna look up his name because everybody is named something really fucking stupid in this thing. And I just cannot get over how bad it all is. Here we go. Wait for it. Dr. Cauldron? That's a shitty name. Hang on. I gotta go to the IMDb here. Rotor movie, please. Damn it. It has amazing box art. That's what caught me because I remember I was in the video store and it had this amazing art that looked like it was for Duke Nukem. It's just this muscular cyborg with a gun, and he's standing on top of a flaming motorcycle in this vast wasteland. But in the actual fucking movie, It's just this dude with a goddamn mustache. You never even see his robot form, and his actual robot form is this plexiglass stop motion. It's so terrible. So yeah, it's Dr. Barrett Cold Iron, and he teams up with Dr. Steel, and they have to stop Rotor. And I swear to God, the Dr. Cold Iron, he's got a blonde mullet, and he's a cowboy. So he talks like this at the side of his mouth, and we have to stop Rotor. Rotor is the deadliest thing I've ever created. I'm like Dr. Frankenstein right now. I'm telling you, he's dangerous. And basically Rotor kills people over basic infractions, like traffic infractions. If you run a stop sign, Rotor's going to kill you. If you parallel park or double park, Rotor's going to kill you. Like, he takes the law that crazy. When you shoot him, he bleeds green Rotor fluid.
Wow, I just looked up the cover. That cover,
yeah, it was really bad.
That cover is really would catch.
Amazing color. The first 20 minutes of the goddamn is just like Dr. Cold Iron, and he's like going his day as a cowboy, and he just so happens to be, a scientist cop doctor thing.
Wow.
Anyway,
yeah,
I feel unfortunately that Maniac Cop was drowned out with all this other drivel that came out at the time, and the fact that it was a B movie and didn't have the necessary budget to stand above really worked against its favor, regretfully.
I mean, when you're like, I mean, you didn't have like really huge stars in it. I mean, you had Richard Roundtree and stuff like that, but it wasn't like A-list.
Atkins
cast.
was serviceable, but I think Atkins is only an A-lister now by comparison. I don't think he was much of an A-lister back then as he was, like, he was in The Fog, but I don't know of a whole lot of movies that he was quarterbacking that were like A-listers in the 80s. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, he was a very underrated actor in my opinion too. He was just so, especially in this, he was very very good. What kind of legacy do you think this film might have? Like, I mean, besides the whole like remake and everything that might happen, but like the whole like, what kind of influence do you think it had on other films, if any?
I think, well, on my films it had definitely some influence. There were some really good shots in there, like the shot where the jazz guy, the saxophone player's hands were cuffed behind his back and he was running, and the camera's tracking with him. I thought was a good shot. I believe that I really like the opening title sequence of him suiting up. If you watch my second Maniac Cop short, I actually paid homage to that. Visually, I really like the idea of how they were dressing the Maniac Cop. And you see where certain things are being added, like when he closes the gun, it's Robert Zadar's name there, knowing full well he's the Maniac Cop. And the score, I think, was really good. Especially the opening title sequence was, an amazing track. And I feel that probably everything leading up to the moment Frank McCrae dies is probably a solid A movie.
Yeah. Because
Cordell's a character, when you look back at his actual memory of what happened when you do that flashback to prison, I thought that was really well done. And I think anybody watching the movie now could see that and see signs of a really good filmmaker, a really good story, and see a high concept piece. And then unfortunately, of that high concept into schlock, regretfully. So yeah, I think the legacy that it carries is also a cautionary tale to filmmakers too. Myself being that, like, when I watch this movie, I see how a really great idea can be utilized, harnessed, and corrupted all at once.
Yeah, I mean, it does make sense. I mean, I know watching it again now, because I hadn't seen it probably since I was a kid. So watching it now, it has. I mean, I'm in the middle of writing a horror script, so which it's kind of it did kind of like spark some ideas in my head, which I think will be very good influences, and I think a lot of the movies of that era, have helped, I think, a lot of modern day, horror filmmakers and things of that nature that are basically helping to tell suspense in a way that, might be schlocky at times, but it's very, suspenseful in certain ways. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with Maniac Cop having the fear mongering of a police officer, I never saw any of that prior to Maniac Cop, and I haven't seen much of it since, at least done the way that it was done in the movie. Like during the traffic stop scene specifically, the two people are at the traffic light. Cordell walks up, just taps on the glass, and says, "Come with me," like that. And they even talk about it. McCrae says, like, when a cop shows up, you do what you're told. You could be walking into a trap and not realizing it. And I think that's really fertile territory in terms of horror, especially now more than ever.
Yeah.
I had a really nifty idea that I haven't taken much out of development, but it was called Officer, and it was just about an escaped mental patient who kills a cop, steals the outfit, and then terrorizes people using the idea of a police officer. How long will you comply before you start questioning and then get killed type situation,
I like that idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this, like you said, this movie came out in 1988, and it does feel so current, when they're doing the interviews with those people. I'm sitting there thinking, this could have been made, today, 2021.
Absolutely. One of the guys says they love killing, that's why they're cops.
Right. And I've heard people say that now. That exact phrase, and I'm like, this movie is literally 33 years old, or 34, I don't know. And then, it was very interesting when I saw that, because a lot of this stuff is resurgent anyway. We kind of go through phases of social issues or whatnot, so we're kind of seeing sort of like you said, from the Reagan administration, a lot of attitudes are sort of kind of resurfacing a little bit. So.
Mm-hmm. And just imagine if Matt Cordell wasn't horrifically disfigured and was able to articulate. Imagine if he was able to act as a real police officer, but, he's still a Maniac Cop. That's even worse, because he could go into your home, he could lull you away into a false sense of security, kill you when you least expect. These are terrifying ideas. How many times have you been driving and a cop pulls up behind you, and after seeing everything on the news now, you're like, oh shit, do I reach for my cell phone or not, or do I play it cool? These are real fears that so many Americans are going through, and obviously with Maniac Cop, it's easier to acknowledge that is the bad guy because he's disfigured and he's silent and he's Michael Myersing and chasing up and everything like that, but that is a real problem that exists today. So I feel that there is so much fertile ground and fertile territory that should be explored more.
It's like
that kind of happened once to actually Mike and I.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying. Do you remember that time when we came from the Halloween party?
Oh yeah. It did.
And this cop was literally following me around for, I'd say, probably 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, he pulls us over.
Right. It was about 5 or 10 minutes. The cop.
Yes, said we did a U-turn even though we just turned around in a shopping center, and then and then pulled us over. And I had a backpack. We were in college at the time, and he said what's in the backpack? And I was like, movies, because I had rented some movies at Blockbuster, and then he said and I said and my books, but you have no right to look in there. And the cop's like, what do you mean? And then he's like, and I was like, well, my dad was friends with the police chief, so I was like, oh, Chief so-and-so, I'll leave his name out, might have a problem with this, and then he let us go. But if I wouldn't have been able to pull that off, who knows what would have happened.
Yeah. I had an incident when I was filming one of my movies. I got mistaken for, a terrorist. We were doing a bank robbery movie in a closed-off area of the city, and someone who didn't want me to be there called the cops on me to scare me away. And he reported me and said that there were 3 masked terrorists in a white panel van with machine guns. So I'm just driving because I'm got ignored. I'm like, well, he doesn't want us swimming there. That goes somewhere else. So I park on the corner, and I'm just sitting. And I shit you not, 12 cop cars sealed off the block. This is 2011, mind you. They sealed off the block, and I'm like, oh shit, something's going down. And then a cop comes running up to the car with his gun drawn. And I'm like, he goes, you in the van. I go, am I in a bad spot? I'll move. He goes, hands on the wheel. I'm like, oh shit, they're here for me. I put my hands on the wheel, and he literally, I rolled on the window. I go, what's the problem? He presses the gun into my temple and says, you give me a reason and I will light you up. And I'm like, bro, I don't know what you heard, but I assure you it's not what happened. And I'm like, look, there are people in the back of the van. We are all making a movie. There are props. Nothing in this van is real. Do not hurt anybody. He pulls me in, throws me on the ground, and cuffs me. And again, he's like saying, I will be a hero if you do anything wrong. I'm like, you have the smallest penis I've ever seen. I'm thinking this to myself. I'm not saying it out loud at that point. But thank God I walked away from that one. But yeah, I'm telling you, there are people who have that mentality of, I could kill you right now and they would pin a medal on me. Because I literally experienced that. Give me a reason and I will light you up. Like, okay, whatever, man. So yeah, it's a truly terrifying experience that really makes for great horror, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like right after I watched Maniac Cop, I watched the latest episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, or the season premiere, and like the concept of that episode was basically the concept of Maniac Cop, where there's like cops, you know, like what's going on nowadays. It was covering, you know, modern things, so it's just interesting how I watched 2 things back to back that covered the same exact topic. One made in 1988 and one made in 2021. It's just so weird.
Yeah. Like I said, it's just good for horror.
Yeah.
Abuse of power is probably part of all horror, in my opinion, and so much of it going on in the police force in general. So, and as well as, you know, I don't want to get political with like Blue Lives Matter people and shit like that. That's even worse because that goes into cult mentality. Imagine if you dealt with not only a Maniac Cop, but Blue Lives Matter people on top of it who would essentially be defending a Maniac Cop.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
That'd be a good area to go into if they did remake
Scary
it.
shit.
Yeah, so, or any kind of movie that's cops. Like,
well, that was what I wanted to do for my third short. I wanted Matt Cordell to take on Blue Lives Matter, and I wanted to see like all those faces feeling all that betrayal as Cordell's like destroying them left and right. And, like, we're on your side, because at the beginning of Maniac Cop 2, you remember that scene with the crackhead, and he's like, yeah. It was one of you, and he gets shot up. I love that idea of these Blue Lives Matter people screaming, I'm one of you, and then Matt just stabbing and shooting them left and right.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I think you know, definitely.
It's like
it has to be covered.
You're saying like the Punisher.
Yeah, I need to budge. I was trying to raise $2,000 to get a cop outfit and, you know, some prop guns and make that happen, but it wasn't able. I still have the GoFundMe up, but if you want to get below, go ahead. It's just GoFundMe.com/Maniac Cop film.
Yeah, I definitely will put all the links
in
our show notes because I'd love to see that. Plus, I'd also like to see your concept too about the cop that, you know, a cop that looks more normal too would be interesting too. Like just you know, the guy who steals. I need
a cop suit to pull that off.
Yeah, so if you get the cop suit for the one,
if I have a cop suit, then I'm good to go.
Yeah, so we can do them all. So
yeah, exactly. I'm multitasking over here.
That's how it is. You know, you get you do the whole Roger Corman sort of thing. You know, you've got the props and the sets. You might as well shoot another movie. What
pretty much. Yeah. I wanted to have come down that the cop was making him do Russian roulette.
That's awesome. So before we wrap things up here, anything else you want to say about Maniac Cop before we stop on that, and then I'll talk to you about your where people can find you and stuff.
I think I'm pretty set on Maniac Cop. Like I said, I got to meet William Lustig back in 2009 because we were both at the same film festival in Sacramento, and because they were doing Maniac, his other movie, and I'm like, dude, someone get me to talk to him. He goes, he's right over there. Go talk to him. I'm like, oh shit. I go over. I go, hey, I'm Chris. I made a couple of Maniac Cop shorts. I'd like to show you. He goes, you did what? I go, I made a Maniac Cop fan film. That's so cool. Where can I see them? I go, right here, my friend. And I showed them to him. And he's watching them, and he's like, holy shit, that's so cool. And I'm like, thank you. So that was just nice. That was nice.
That's cool. What do you got coming up? Anything? Any other any cool films coming up or anything?
Yeah, this Friday I'm going to be premiering my new Powerpuff Girls short film. If what the CW has done has left a bad taste in your mouth, my short film will wash it out. Promise.
Yeah, I know that Chloe Bennett just left that and all that project and everything.
She left that project, and that was a smart move on her part. I commend her for doing the right thing in this instance. The last thing you want to do is have your career marred by, either controversial or bad work that you're not proud of. And I know that was a personal choice, not a scheduling conflict. I'm going on record to say there was no scheduling conflict. She just wanted out, and she took the first out she got, and she got it. But I had read that script. Now, I had made a Powerpuff Girls fan film back in 2016, right? And I was good. I'm like, I made my fan film. I'm good. I don't need to do another. Then I read that script, and I'm like, fuck, that's it. I'm making a new one. I'm so angry right now. I'm going to make a new Powerpuff Girls fan film. That's how mad I am.
Yeah, no, I'm glad she left because I'm a huge Chloe Bennett fan. I loved Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so I loved her on that. She was my favorite character.
No,
so,
she's great. Yeah. She's very likable.
Yeah.
And I feel she was truly, from what I read in that script, she would be absolutely underutilized because they made everybody so unlikable, as if they were trying to make them unlikable. And I'm like, why would you do that? Chloe Bennett is a very nice, a warm person on S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, I know I'm not saying that's who she is as a person, but Daisy is a very warm and likable character. And that is probably a lot of people's first introduction to her as an actor. Yeah. I don't know who the hell she was for the Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I'm sure a lot of people didn't either. So to take that, this very nice and positive force of, feminine energy, superhero energy, all these things, and then turn her into this empty, spiteful, angry, bitter superhero, you're just like, this is bad.
Yeah.
So I'm glad she's out of it.
Well, hopefully they do get some good rewrites on that or something if they want it to succeed. But if not, oh well, it'll be a one and done sort of season.
The rewrites are being done by the same people who wrote the first version of the script.
I mean, for like Dove Cameron and Donald Faison's, like I like them both as well, and I hope for their sake that it's good if they stay on. But who knows? Maybe they'll have scheduling conflicts too.
Dove Cameron was expertly cast, but she needs to dodge that bullet too. I'm telling you, it's going to be a train wreck.
Yeah. Well, where can people find you online? I'll link all the stuff in the show notes too. But where can they find you?
That is an amazing question. I'm glad you asked. You can find me on Blinky500 on all social media, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Blinky500. My channel handle, all of it. Facebook, Blinky500. And like, share, and subscribe to my stuff. I guarantee you I have something for everyone on my channel. Literally, something for everyone.
If you're a pop culture fan, you definitely have a fan film out there for them. I know because I've watched several of them.
Pretty much.
I loved your Skynet movie. Yeah. That was really cool that you just did recently. I loved that one. So,
thank you.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I was really happy and honored to be able to pull off Skynet the way that I did. You know, I had the idea. Again, I made a lot of fan films out of spite. I saw Dark Fate, and I was just like, I am so over this shit. I'm gonna fucking end Terminator. I'm gonna terminate Terminator. And I made Skynet. I do that often. I will watch something that I like and see how bad it is, and I'll be, that's it. That's it. I'm killing it. I'm going to kill it myself. Hold me down. Don't hold me back. I'm going on in. And I killed Michael Myers in 2007 because they were going to end the thing in favor of the new remake. And I fucking killed the Terminator now. It's dead. So, and I'll do it again, too. I'll do it again. I'll kill again. just go ahead, Hollywood. Fuck with something. I'll kill him.
We'll take that totally out of context and make people think you're a terrorist for real. No.
No, yeah, just give that one clip of me going, I'll kill again, I swear. Just have that loop. You're on Exhibit A, he said he'd kill again.
Well, I'd like to thank you for your time tonight. And if you ever want to be back on again to talk about any other movies or any of your projects, just let us know, and we'd love to have you on again. It was great talking to you.
Anytime, I have no life.
Okay. Me either, so it works. No, okay, so thank you. And,
all right.
Yeah. Have a good night, Chris. Okay, that was our interview there with Chris R. Notarile, Chris R. Notarile, yes, as he likes to do, and just a message, message people and tell people that that's the way you got to say his name. It's kind of like I insist on being called Michael E. Cullen II. I don't want, because it bothers me sometimes when people forget the E.
Yeah.
So because I put that in there as honor of my grandparents Emmett and Eleanor. So there you go.
Yep.
Little fact about me that you didn't know before now. So yeah. That was a fun interview, Matt. Anything else before we wrap things up here, Matt, that you had to say?
No, I'm good. Just go ahead and watch this movie if you have not seen it yet. It's interesting. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean it's very sadly relevant, like we've said. Hopefully you enjoy it, and hopefully if they do a remake of this, that it isn't, misinterpreted, I should say. You know what I mean? That right. they don't, take it in a direction that the original producers didn't intend. But for right now, make sure you check us out on Facebook and Twitter. And we got Cullen Park Productions there. We've also got All Too Real 2 Facebook fan page, also the All Too Real 2 podcast group here, which you can join on Facebook. It's the best way to get a hold of us. If you have a movie that you'd like to come on and talk to us about in our All Too Rewind, we would love to have you on. Just let us know. You can send me a message at mike@cullenpark.com. Also, be sure to check out our Patreon, our TeePublic, and subscribe, share the show. You can follow us on any kind of podcast app that whatever you're listening to us on right now. So obviously you found us if you're listening to my voice right now. And if you're not, and if you're somehow hearing this and you haven't found us, seek medical attention. Because I'm just one of the voices in your head.
Whoa. That's like surprisingly deep right there, man.
Yes, it is. But until next time, folks, be safe, wear a mask, wear a condom, and bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to All Too Real 2 podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.